Okay, welcome, visionaries and change makers. I don't know if that video is slow for you or not, but I will check the recording. Welcome to Lead with LeAnn, where we navigate the waters of business with heart and purpose, airing every week at 2 p.m. Pacific time, which is 4 p.m. Central time where I live, exclusively on Win Win Women. TV. I'm LeAnn Lyon, your Chief Joy Officer, here to empower you with strategies, insights, and a splash of fun. Each week on Lead with LeAnn, you'll join me as we delve into the inspiring stories of established leaders and innovative entrepreneurs. We'll uncover just what it takes to build a brand from scratch, lead with authority and grace, and turn business aspirations into tangible success. So anchor down, set your sails. Let's dive into the art of joyful leadership and get ready to be inspired because your journey to brilliance starts right now. For nearly 35 years, my guest today has been deeply immersed in the marketing realm, specializing in assisting businesses and nonprofits with enhancing their branding, creating captivating marketing materials, and executing top-notch print work. With a career journey that has taken her through all facets of the marketing world, she has held marketing positions in corporate, nonprofit, education, and as a entrepreneur. When potential customers of today evaluate organizations in mere seconds, oftentimes businesses don't realize that they could be missing out on business if they don't have the right branding and marketing. So the correct branding and marketing helps to build credibility, foster meaningful connection with consumers, and unleash those untapped sales. Who wants more sales? Listen in. Meanwhile, Vicky lives on a small lake in Oxford, Michigan, where she's blessed to work from home with her husband, shop cat, and shop pup in nearby attendance. Vicky, are you there? Come on forward. We'd love to see you.
Hello, everybody, and thank you so much, LeAnn, for having me on today.
Oh, it's such a pleasure to see you again.
Mhm.
I love this. I meet with my guests, my podcast guests, for a few minutes, like I did with you. And I don't ask very many questions then, do I? No?
No, we're all saving it for the good stuff for the show.
Exactly. So, listeners, what you hear today is very unscripted. We don't have this like planned out. Vicky, did I send you a whole list of questions I'm going to ask you?
Oh, no, you didn't send me a thing.
I sent you a graphic.
That's right. Yeah,
That's true.
some
That's
very
it.
good instructions.
Good. And here we are, and it's such a thrill. So tell us about your little lake and you had a funny story though. You did tell me a funny story about your pup. Let's hear that story.
Oh, yeah. Well, my dog is a little bit crazy. So I was telling you earlier that one of the funniest things I guess I did is in my LinkedIn profile, I put a little link right there at the top that says, I think it says something like check out my awesome team. And when you click on that, you come to the About Us page. And on the About Us page is not only my staff are at the top, but then the two shop pets are also listed at the bottom. So my dog is the entertainment director and the cat is the HR manager. So fitting for their personalities. The HR manager strolls on in whenever he finds, himself bored, and just kind of casually, takes a look at the team, sees how things are going, and then off to his back to his nap. So we have a lot of fun with that.
Yeah, I have a cat as well, and yes, he loves to nap all day and he loves to let us know he's alive all night.
Right. Yes, he was just letting me know he was alive, that he was just right here in case we needed him to say anything during the show. He was there and available and letting me know.
Perfect. I'm amazed. You have a cat, I have a cat. I'm amazed that my cat really doesn't come in. It's like he knows when I'm talking to other people. He never, literally never comes through the door. And, I'm in a home that has no door because our whole basement is under construction. So he
Oh
could
my.
actually, there's no door. He could walk in anytime, but he doesn't when I'm on shows like this. Isn't that interesting?
Because he's so smart, because cats are so smart.
They really are. Yeah. But the minute the show's over, oh, loud noises all over the
Oh,
place.
yeah.
So that what you did with your, with your team, I mean, that's part of branding too, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it does. I mean, even just that really embodies kind of, the personality of our team, and the culture of our team is we're laid back, we're easy to work with. We try to make our clients' lives easier. We try to be very personable, very responsive. And part of that is just kind of, this casual, sort of low key sort of nature that I think that helps our clients, because our clients will sometimes come to us stressed. Either they have something coming up, or they need something quickly, or they're just nervous that it's not going to be right. And so I feel like that's my whole team, is kind of putting that at ease. And we always say, we'll figure, we know there's more to make things happen. And we give them the options. And we try to just kind of have that sort of even keel nature about it. And so yeah, so part of having the shop pets is really part of the culture too. That kind of, like, home style, just not real stuffy kind of personality.
So whose personality exactly does that embody most?
Well, that would probably be the leader.
And who's
um,
that?
that would be me.
Yep.
But really, it's I think on my team that, when people come in for an interview and they see the work environment, there's going to be they're going to decide right then whether this is something that they're going somewhere where they're going to be comfortable working, because it's either going to be a fit or not with their personality. So, I think that there's a lot to do with the culture that is not only because of the leader, but we really have developed it together as a team.
Absolutely. And that's so important. I have a team as well, and I just have had some turnover. But the one person who had to leave, she's like, I really hate to go, but it's just, not matching what I need for this, that, and the other thing. Bless her, she actually replaced herself before she told
Oh,
me, right?
very nice.
So that's a
Very nice.
sign that you're doing something right. But
Yeah,
bring it, and then I brought in a new person to it for a new fit, and we're still finding our way. Like, is this going to be the fit that I want?
right.
Because just because it's my personality doesn't mean it's hers.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
have a great story too. I had an employee that was not a fit for our team, for various reasons. And he was a great guy, and he was a good designer. But I had a friend who also needed a graphic designer. And so I basically, on the same day that I told him I was letting him go, I said, but if you'd like to leave now, you can go down to my girlfriend's office. It's about 30 minutes from here, and she will interview you. And so he got let go in the morning, and he got hired somewhere else in the afternoon. So it just worked out so much better, because it was just one of those things where sometimes it's just not a fit. So that was a real win, that I was able to let him go, but say, oh, but here, I've already found a job for you.
Oh, that is a huge blessing to be
Yeah.
able to do that. That's
Yeah.
so cool. So you woke up the day after you graduated from college and said, I want to be an entrepreneur. Was that what you told me?
Oh, yeah, exactly. No. No. So yeah, I took a little, I have been an entrepreneur for almost 22 years. But no, I started out, as I worked for the automotive company. So I'm in Detroit, in the Detroit area. And so when, inevitably a lot of us go to work for the auto companies. And so I had an internship when I was in college, at General Motors. And so that was where I landed as my first job. And I had a good 11 years with the automotive industry. I worked after I left General Motors, I went to Saturn Corporation, which is part of General Motors, but part of the whole startup marketing team for the Saturn car, which was just amazing. I got to work in Spring Hill, Tennessee. I got to see the first car roll off the line. And it was a wonderful experience. And then at one point I decided that it's just a corporate life. Like, there was something that I felt like I needed to do something more meaningful. And so I left my corporate job, sold my house, and joined the Peace Corps. and
Whoa,
lived
whoa,
in
whoa,
yeah,
whoa, wait,
no.
wait. Hold on right there. You can't just gloss over that. Well, but I do have a quick question. Did you ever own a Saturn?
Oh yes, I own several. Yes, they were. I loved them. I loved them. They were awesome cars.
My
I
parents,
couldn't wait. My first one was the station wagon. I really wanted the station wagon because I like to camp. I like to travel. I like to take road trips, and so it was a perfect little car for me. Yeah.
my parents are still driving theirs.
Oh my gosh,
No joke.
that's a
No,
legend.
like it's so old.
It must be. Yeah, it was a long time ago that they
Yeah,
started
my
making
my
stuff.
my mom worked for an amazing man who, as I mean, she worked there for a long time, and as she was getting closer to retirement, he surprised her with a lease for exactly the car that he knew she wanted because and then when she actually retired, he said, and it's paid off, and
Oh,
gave them the car because they pulled it behind a motorhome for 25 years.
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh,
And then when they hung up the motorhome last year, now it's still their vehicle. And my dad is still fixing stuff on it and keeping it going. And I'm like, oh, Dad, you're so cool.
oh, that's amazing. Well, you have to send me a picture of it.
I will have to look for that. Absolutely. So
Yeah.
wait, Peace Corps? Let's go there.
Yeah.
Tell me about
Yeah. Yeah. I was in my late 20s and I just thought, gosh, there's got to be something more meaningful. I had been volunteering for the Special Olympics and doing things and so it just really kind of gave me that impetus of, I'm still young. I'm not married. I didn't have children. And I thought this is the time in my life to do something big if I'm going to do it. And so, yeah, so I decided, well, let me see. And people are like, well, Vicky, but you own a house and you've got this career and you work, in the automotive industry, you got a good job. And I said, yeah, but it's just not giving me the meaningful satisfaction that I want. And so so I applied and I got assigned to Nicaragua and off I went on my plane by myself I didn't know anybody I was going to be there with. I knew nothing about the country because whoever really goes to Nicaragua, it's not a vacation spot. And so, yeah, so there I was. I did business consulting and I lived with a host family for a while. And they had a store in the front that was the family store where they sold various goods. And I lived in the back in a room. And I helped them with the store. I helped them with their accounting and a profit and loss and costs that go into things. And it was an amazing experience. I would love to someday go back and see the streets that I walked. And so it was just an amazing experience for sure.
wow. Oh, very good. And how long were you doing that?
I was there for 6 months.
6 months. Okay, I wasn't
Yeah.
sure how long that would be. So
Yeah.
just kind of a break in the action. That's amazing. How much did you speak the language before you went or
Nope, I just my high school Spanish. As anybody who took high school Spanish knows, you don't really learn a lot. And so,
yeah.
but when you are immersed in a culture and you are, in the beginning, we were with some of the other volunteers, so we were speaking English, with each other. But when we got placed into our villages, there was no one who spoke English that was around me, and so you learn the language really quick. And you just for survival you have to learn the language really quick, and so it really just amazing because you can try to learn, and I did do a little bit additional learning and education when I before I left to learn the language, but I almost laughed when I got there, like that was really silly of me because now I'm really learning the language.
Right. I lived in Sweden for 6 months and I did go over there fairly fluent, but I learned very quickly how not fluent I was. Uh,
Right,
you
right.
know, but it was a great experience. There are language villages in Minnesota. Did you know that?
No, oh my
Up
gosh.
near Bemidji. So at the top of the Mississippi River,
Yeah.
in Bemidji, there is a whole collection, 15 different villages and during the year they actually do adult immersion programs. In the summer, it's all kids. And, my daughters actually earned high school language credits in Swedish, uh,
Nice.
going away to camp for a month. And yeah, my teenagers were gone for a month in the summer. Wasn't bad.
Yeah.
And they loved it. The camps are amazing. If anybody's interested, look up Concordia Language Villages
Wow,
and
that's amazing.
Russian, Swedish, German, French, Spanish, Norwegian, Danish, Finnish, Chinese, and I can't remember all. There's one or two I'm forgetting for sure.
Wow, that's amazing. That is so cool. I'd never heard of
Yes.
that.
No, it's super cool.
Yeah.
And, I know a lot. I look forward to, maybe someday bringing grandkids up there and they'll be third generation because that's where I learned Swedish. It was
Yeah.
actually at the same camp. So they just celebrated their 50th year of language camp for Swedish.
Wow, that's amazing. I can't believe that there's not more of that because that is the way to learn a language is to be
Oh,
immersed in it.
totally. Absolutely. Yeah. When I was little, I got off the bus and they're like, Willkommen, go to the Tull, then go to your stuga, put on your baddräkt, go to the strand. And I'm like, but they're pointing at
Mhm.
things. So
Yeah,
I went to the customs where they removed anything English. Then I
yeah,
went to the cabin, put on my swimsuit, and went to the beach. And, you just start learning.
yeah. Oh,
And
yeah.
your brains are so flexible right then. It's so fun.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's definitely easier when you're younger, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
So when you came home from Nicaragua, what did you do? You're unemployed now?
I was unemployed. Yeah, so I was let's see, I was almost 30, I guess. Went back to live with my parents. They took me in so I could finish my master's degree. And so that was the first thing I did while I was figuring out what I wanted to do. And then once I got it didn't take long because I had started it actually before I left. And then I decided that I wanted to work in nonprofit and just again have a career that had more meaning for me. And so I had gone back, and so before I had been volunteering with the Special Olympics, and so I went back and then I got on the board of directors of two organizations, both working with the disability population. One was Far Conservatory, which is music therapy for children and adults with disabilities. And then another was a housing situation for adults with disabilities. And through my connections, I found a job at a nonprofit working with adults with disabilities in vocational rehabilitation. And what's funny is there was somebody that I worked that was the head of one of the organizations. I was on the board of directors. And he said, well, I'm also on the board of directors at this New Horizons place. And he said, they've been using somebody outside to do a little bit of marketing, but they really need an in-house marketing full-time position. And he said, you do marketing and you want to get involved in, working for a nonprofit. Let me go talk to the organization and I'll ask them if they want to create a full-time position for a marketing person. And so he went to them. He told them, I really think that we need this full-time position, full-time marketing person. And oh, by the way, I've got somebody to fill the role. And so it was just like that. Like he just went and they said, you know what? Yeah, I think that that's what we do need to do. And here, you can interview here. You can interview her, Vicky. Here she is. And it just happened that quickly like that. And so I spent 5 years there. And so when I left there, it was when I formed the marketing shop, my business. That was 22 years ago. And they are still my client today. So
Oh,
when I
wonderful.
left there, my marketing role there, I left and became their marketing person, kind of outsourced marketing person. So,
Yeah, that's amazing. You mentioned something a couple of times now, which has piqued my curiosity. You mentioned Special Olympics and working with Special Olympics, volunteering with Special Olympics. I'm suspecting there's a little bit of a backstory there as well. What
well,
drew you?
I mean, there's not a personal connection, like in my family or anything like that. I just think that, I'm trying to even think of how I stumbled upon that. I think that I was looking for volunteer work to do.
Mhm.
And somebody had mentioned Special Olympics to me. And I said, well, okay, well, I'll go and check it out. And I helped with a softball team and eventually worked my way up to becoming a softball coach for the Special Olympics. I also took them to, skiing, snow downhill skiing in the wintertime. And I just really fell in love with that work. But I had this marketing degree, so it wasn't like I had a social work or psychology degree. So I was really blessed when I found that opportunity to use my marketing skills and background, but yet work for an organization that was working with that population. And whatever wonderful thing for me to be able to, I had, this nice little, office, and that's what I do, but I could walk right across the hall and go into the workshop and the other rooms where there's actually the clients were working, calling clients customers and different things over the years. But what a wonderful way to take a break in the action from what I was doing to go and remind myself of the wonderful work and why we were doing what we were doing every day. And I fell in love with this population, and they're celebrating 60 years, their 60th anniversary. And we're going to the annual meeting in a couple of weeks. And I told him, taking a couple of my staff who wanted to go, and I said, just get ready because you're going to cry. But it's a good cry because it's just so heartwarming to see them getting their awards and having their families there and friends cheering them on, and it's a really wonderful evening.
Oh, wow. So it's just been a part of your life for a very long time in that
Yeah,
case.
yeah, yeah.
So when you decided to start the marketing shop, though, you're already gainfully employed. Uh, was that ending to some degree, or did you just decide it was just time?
I was having a baby,
What?
and so yeah,
Those
so
children,
so
they create so much stress. No, I'm just kidding.
yeah, they just completely turn your life upside down. They for sure
Upside
do.
down.
So coincidentally, my daughter is almost 22 years old, which is exactly how old my business is. So yeah, I'm a planner. So I was pregnant and I knew I was going to have a C-section. And so the doctor said, well, do you want to have your daughter on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday? Of this whatever week. And I said, well, I would like to have her on Monday because at that point you're really pregnant and you just want to have that baby as soon as possible. So I'm like, the earliest possible date would be great. And so I went into work when a week before, a couple weeks before, I can't remember. And I said, well, I'm going to be having the baby on Monday. And my boss was like, you don't know when you're going to. I said, no, I do know when I'm going to have the baby. I have a scheduled C-section, so that's why I'm having the baby. And so, of course, I went on maternity leave. And then as my maternity leave was coming to an end, I said to my boss, I said, I really want to be able to work from home. And this was 22 years ago when people were
Mhm.
not working from home 22 years ago. We still
Mm-mm.
had dial-up for internet back then.
Yep.
And so he said, well, I said, maybe I could come in 2 days a week, work from home 3 days a week. He said, no, I really need you here full time. And I said, well, then I'm going to have to leave. And so that was when I thought I had already been thinking if he said no, what I was going to do. And so I'd already thought up the marketing shop and decided that I would be an entrepreneur. And and to this day, in fact, I will probably see him in a couple weeks. He has left the organization and moved out to Arizona, but he's coming back for the annual meeting. And to this day, every time I have seen him, he has said, the biggest mistake I ever made was telling you that you could not work part-time from home, and how much he regretted that I was not with the organization in that capacity anymore. But
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. One thing that we can count on in life is change.
yeah, and you
And
have to pivot always.
yeah. Yeah. And you just don't know what you don't know. He didn't know how possible and even almost expected it would become, 22 years later that we work from home. Now, many businesses are insisting that their employees do come back in, and some employers are not having it. They're like, nope, I like having my laundry done as I need it, you know,
Right,
because I'm
right.
and yeah, it's definitely turned things pretty much upside down and inside out with all the changes. But that's not the only change that we've had in the last 4 years, is it?
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Working
we
from home is one thing, but
yeah, yeah. Well,
what's
once we had COVID, uh, the world changed, for sure, for all of us, um, and certainly for my business as well. But we had to pivot during that time. But what is amazing is I do have an in-person team, which most people expect that graphic designers and graphic design work is a remote type of position. But my team chooses. They like to come in. We work together. We collaborate. We share creative ideas. And it's really nice to have that atmosphere of actually having an in-person team.
Oh, good. And were you able to maintain that in person those first few months at least, or the first year of that whole?
No, I can't remember how long it was, but there was at least a couple of months in there that we went to remote. And so we did have, and of course the business, there was a lot of our clients that were shut down and were not operating. And so we went down to, I think there was just the one of my graphic designers and myself, and then my office manager were kind of still kind of on payroll.
Yeah.
And other the employees either went on, the COVID leave, or one went to work at a grocery store. She saw it coming immediately, and she said, I'm gonna go get a job at Aldi, because grocery stores were just going crazy at that time, because people were just going and hoarding. Oh, you remember the days of the
Oh, I
toilet
do.
paper and
Yeah.
like things on the shelves were blank. And so she went, and she was working probably 60 hours a week at the grocery store.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a tough time. I always say, I hope we never have to live through anything like that again. Not just, I mean, from a business standpoint, it was very difficult, but just all of the things that entailed. It was just a really dark time. It was so much uncertainty.
Yeah,
It was very, very difficult. Yeah.
for sure. I had started a, wait for it, travel company 8 months before COVID hit.
Oh no.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I had
And
a trip
so
to
when,
Peru planned. That was planned the in 2020. Is that
yeah.
the yeah, my poor travel agent. Oh, oh no.
Yep. I had three trips planned that March. One of them was to go to see John C. Maxwell and become certified with him in Florida. I did do that eventually, but it was a year and a half later. I also was supposed to go to Colorado, Denver, with an amazing team of entrepreneurs that I was so looking forward to being in the mountains of Denver. It was going to be so cool. Canceled. And yeah, and so my husband, my daughter, and we went to the grocery stores too. We did Instacart. Now, I am not the grocery shopper in my family. Are you?
No, I am not. No.
I did 100 grocery store trips in 1 month
Oh my goodness.
because by doing so, I earned a $1,500 bonus on top of everything that I was making. Just, because literally, my company was a travel company. I had no business. I was
Um,
also shut down. But we in that month, the three of us put in $8,000 into our accounts.
oh,
So where there's a will, there's a way. And, granted, we had to overcome any fears we had about being in public and doing the things. And I remember, like, do I need to wear gloves to go to the grocery store?
oh,
What if
right.
people I remember standing at the gas tank thinking, there's something possibly floating in the air right past me outside. It was such a weird, scary, like you said, feeling.
Oh, yeah. I remember coming home from the grocery store and using sanitizing wipes and wiping down everything we just bought.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, and we just didn't know. No one
Just,
knew. No one had any answers at that point. Yeah, it's just a crazy time. Boy, when I look back on that and I think of, I mean, I remember one of my designers came in and she said, they're saying this is a worldwide pandemic. And I was like, worldwide pandemic? Boy, they are so dramatic, aren't they? Well, I ate
well,
my words on that one, didn't I? And but I remember when we got the notice, and my staff was together. and we just kind of looked at each other like, what are we going to do? And
Yeah.
I just said to everybody, I said, there's always a plan B. There
Oh,
always is an option. No matter what happens, we've got options. And I said, if we need to open up a dog grooming business instead of a graphic design business, that's what we're going to do. And we kind of laughed about that, but it was just, I just really had the faith that, I don't know what's going to happen here. I've got no answers for anybody, but I just know that we're going to make this work and we're going to get through it no matter what. And it's going to, maybe this business will look completely different than it does today, but we're going to figure this out. And we made
yeah.
it through.
Well, and because of it, and we made it through that first month, and I did my 100 shopping trips, and then we went into the next month. But meanwhile, I thought, what else am I going to do? And I also launched into, well, I know business, I know some marketing. I can, I did marketing and for 26 years with another company. So I'm like, let's go into business consulting. But it wasn't that easy to just start something from scratch. Although a lot of people at that point were starting to say, well, I want to start a business. And, I'm still working with those people today, which is beautiful. But yeah, it was a very uncertain time for sure.
Yeah. 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 It
But it sounds
was.
like you have a
Yeah.
great team that really believes in you to stick with you through that too.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's important for them to see how much I care about the business. And when I think about why I get up and go into the office every day and work as hard as I do, and this was a tough year for us. This was a tough year for a lot of marketing companies. A lot of my associates that are in similar and also in marketing fields and with nonprofits, because we work with a lot of nonprofits. It's been a really tough year. But I think it's important for them to see me working as hard as I can to keep the business going, to keep the projects coming in. And the hardest thing for me is to think that if I would have to let someone go, to have to say to one of my employees, "Hey, listen, we're just not getting enough in the door." And so every day that I think that if I would have to do that makes me really motivated to get in and just work it, whatever I need to do. And, over the years, the almost 22 years I've had my business, there's been great years where I haven't really had to work at it that hard. And the business came in and I would go and do some networking. And then there's times where you really need to work it hard. This has been one of them. But I know that, one of my designers said to me not too long ago, she said, I see how hard you're working. And I
Mhm.
can't tell you what it means to me to know how important it is for you and how much I admire, what you're doing to try to make this work. And that meant the world to me. And really a big part of the reason I do it is of course for myself to keep my business going. But I know that I am giving them a job that they enjoy doing. And it gives them a place to come every day and to earn a salary doing something that they love. And so that's really important to make sure that I maintain that for them.
Although my staff is virtual, when we get together, we start every meeting with, what's new and what's good in your life.
Mhm.
And just knowing something personal about their lives and what they're,
Yeah.
every once in a while we have a meeting where I dig further into it. Like, okay, what would it mean for you if we could grow the business this much more and you could get this, what would it do for
Right.
your life? And so keeping those things in the forefront, it matters more to me, I think to you as well, probably, than actual income per se for me. It's not about the bigger house or the bigger boat. I don't really need that at all.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
I'll enjoy it if there's, such a place to do that. But my priority is to impact the lives of my clients, impact the lives of my employees, and enjoy my life too.
Right. Right. Yeah. A couple of years ago, I sat everyone down we had, and we talked with each one individually. And I said, what kind of clients do you like to work with? What kind of projects do you like to work on? What brings you confidence and satisfaction and joy in your job? And each meeting and each of my graphic designers was a little bit different. And so out of that, I said, okay, well, now based on what everyone has said, these are the kind of jobs that we like to do.
Yeah.
And these are the kind of clients we like to work. So let's go after more of those.
Mhm.
And I think that that made all the difference by really being able to fine tune. And it was coincidental that the ones that they mentioned were the ones that were most profitable for us anyways. And so that was just God's intervention and saying, you're doing the right thing. Keep going in that direction. And so we've really made a concerted effort to work to get those type of jobs. And if we're working on things that we're not getting satisfaction out of, either it's because of the client or because of the industry type, then we will kind of look at each other and say, we don't want to do any more of this stuff.
Yeah.
And we did have a job that we took on that we knew wasn't exactly ideal of what we wanted, but we knew it had a limited time that we were going to do it. And it ended up extending for about 8 more months beyond what it was supposed to. And so, yeah, but we all kind of looked at him and said, okay, that one's done. So we don't need to do any more like that.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's so, again, it's so great to check in. And that's one reason I brought somebody new onto my staff too, was that, I found out one of my people who was doing it, but she just wasn't loving what she was doing. And to remember as an entrepreneur and especially as a leader in our businesses, there's somebody else who does love it. Like, I don't like grocery shopping, but there are people out there who love grocery shopping.
Yes.
Let
Yes.
them do it for you. There's
Yes.
people who love cleaning bathrooms.
I know.
Let them.
That's right.
It's the same
My
in our
my So my office manager loves numbers. She loves making sure that the checkbook is balances down to the penny. She loves digging into the invoices and checking off and making sure which ones are paid and which one is one day late and who needs to be contacted.
yeah,
And thank God for her
right?
because she keeps all that. Her notes are meticulous. She knows I can ask her any question about any client invoice and she can pull it out and find the balance out and find the difference in this and that. And yeah. So,
Wow.
and so thank goodness for people like her, that do the things that, and she really enjoys doing. So
Right?
thank goodness I
Yeah.
found.
I think that's a key thing for anybody starting a business, especially when they're looking at expanding and bringing on staff for the first time. Take a really hard look at what you're really not great at.
Right.
That's who you want to hire first. And by the way, don't hire yourself.
Right.
Biggest mistake. No, but what I mean is the first time I hired an assistant, I hired somebody who was exactly like me. She's a quick start, she's a visionary, she has a harder time with follow through. That's not what I needed. I
Right.
needed somebody
Right.
who was opposite me, who liked doing the detail. And yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
once I figured that out, we actually moved her into a different position within the company and I rehired to find, what I really needed.
Right.
So
Right.
I have
And it was probably a great interview. You probably
oh,
got along great and all the things
oh,
you
it was
talked
so
about.
much
And
fun. Like
right.
talking with the bestie. And then, for the first week or two that she was there, we are like, "Blah, blah, blah," we're talking about, and I'm like, wait, hold on. I'm getting less done. She's not getting her stuff done. This isn't
Yeah.
actually going to work out. So how? Um, well, can you believe it? We've been at this already for a
Wow.
little while, and I do have a couple more questions I want to ask. So, um, before I do, let's just take a quick pause. How do people find you or reach you? And tell me just also a little bit, who is that ideal client that you really like working with?
Yeah. So the best way to reach me is go to the website, which is www.tms.marketing. And if you go to the contact us page, there's a link there too. You can set up a meeting with me. I'm always open to have any kind of brainstorm meeting. So, we do logos, branding, marketing, graphic design. We help make marketing materials look beautiful. So if anybody even just wants to have just some talk, conversation about their marketing, branding. No obligation. We can just talk through. If you maybe have a brochure, you're just thinking, I'm just not sure if this is working, or maybe you're questioning whether your logo is, really working for you anymore. I'm more than happy to have any conversation with anybody who wants to talk marketing.
Okay. And just to be clear, because the letters in your website are a little harder to hear, Anybody listening or online, the first letter is T as in Thomas. The second letter is M as in Martha. And the last letter is S,
Mhm.
correct? S
Yeah.
as in shop. So
Yeah.
TMS, like the marketing shop, we could use those words too.
Yeah.
TMS.com.
It's
So
dot
there you
marketing too.
go. Dot marketing. See? And that's
It's dot
another thing.
marketing. Yeah.
Pay attention to the dots, people. And so here's something that people sometimes do with my websites too. They'll say, whatever, whatever dot. Mine often end in dot now dot site, and then they add a dot com. So it's not
I
dot
know.
marketing dot com. Yep, it won't get there.
Yep.
Well, very
Or
cool. So I'm gonna
oh,
go ahead.
or you could Google the marketing shop because I don't think that there's many of us.
Ah, very cool. Awesome. And then we get to see your dog and cat.
Oh, you certainly can. Go to the About Us page. Yep.
There you go. Perfect. So one other quick question. I'm actually going to ask you to go back further than college and back into high school and back into middle school and actually right before middle school. So you're maybe at the age where you're not quite like maybe babysitting, but maybe close, but you're independent enough at our age groups. I'm guessing we're similar. Um, we didn't stay home. We're kind of in the generation where they kind of kicked us out in the morning and said, be back for
Right.
dinner. So what did you do in that free time? What was your play? What did you do with your imagination?
Oh gosh. Well, I had a best friend and she's still my best friend today. And I had met her in first grade. She lived around the block from me. And so at that age, our favorite thing to do would just be, we would just get together and we would play with her hamster, or um, you know, we would just do things together. We would love to do crafts. She was truly and still is my best friend. Just anything that we were doing together, walking around the block, riding our bikes. We just love to just explore, and yeah, back then the parents didn't, you could go and be gone for hours and you come back and they'd be like, were you even gone? Like, yeah. So we did all kinds of adventures together. It was wonderful. Yeah.
And what kind of, you said crafts. What kind of crafts would you do?
Oh gosh, we used to do, I'm not even sure I remember the name, cross stitch, or, used to have a easel type of thing with the holes in it, and yarn, and we used to put the yarn through. We used to love to do that. We made all kinds of things, big ones and pillow ones. And I honestly think that my mom still has a pillow in the back of her car that she keeps, of an owl that I made when I was
Was
very
that
young.
the cross hook thing? Where it
It was,
had like a special thing you had to go, put the little yarn, pull it through, it made
yeah,
a little knot.
yeah,
Yeah,
yes,
I think it's
yes.
called cross hook.
What was it
Something
called?
cross hook,
Maybe.
maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I know exactly what you're talking about. I wonder if they even have that anymore, but that was really
Yeah.
fun. I made those as well.
Right. Right. The
So
little
you've
pieces of
always had that
yarn.
creative side.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah,
Oh,
that was
yeah.
fun.
Yeah, what else I heard you share in that little story is not only did you have a craft side to you that liked to create and imagine, but you also you're very blessed to develop a really close relationship, and that has obviously carried through in your entrepreneurial journey as well,
Yeah.
even into the staff that you have today. Maybe they're not all your best friends, but the fact that you've been able to maintain a 20 plus year friendship
Yes.
is a
Yes.
lot, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, that's one of my favorite questions to ask. I was curious how the little, the little person inside of us, how it carries forward into us being successful as entrepreneurs as well.
Yeah.
So thank
Yeah.
you for sharing.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, we are about to wrap up here. Any final words of advice that you would want to offer to somebody that's thinking about becoming an entrepreneur? They just don't know if they're quite ready to pull the trigger. They're nervous. What would you tell that person?
Oh, I guess a couple things. One is go for it. Because don't have any regrets in your life. Like don't look back and think, oh, I wish I had done blank. line, fill it in. So not having regrets and reaching out for help. There's so many resources. There's so many people, and with the internet now to put on Facebook, hey, I'm starting up a business. I'm really nervous. I'm not sure. I need some help. There's so many people out there that will reach out. There's so many resources, and don't be afraid to ask for help and take advice. I think that I was able to be blessed with meeting some people in the beginning of my business that gave me some really good, solid advice. One was to don't worry about the clients that you that are not your top clients, that are not profitable, that are taking much of your time. Focus on the top clients, and also to hire. So get ready when that time comes. Again, as we talked about, if there's those things that you do not do well, to find somebody who does do them well and hire them.
Yeah. And not only that they do them well, but they really love to do it. I
Right,
mean, that's the key.
right,
I mean, there's a
right.
lot of people that are capable, but actually get somebody who really gets it, really wants it. That's
Yeah,
a whole
yeah,
different experience.
yeah, for sure.
Very cool. Well, thank you. You've shared some really good stories and some really great points. I think that a lot of people can take away with them. And once again, anybody interested, my guest today, if you're listening, is Vicky Winkler, Winkler of the Marketing Shop. What's your favorite social media, Vicky?
Oh, it's LinkedIn. I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Yep.
Very cool. So find her on LinkedIn. She's connected. She's a contact with me if you find me on LinkedIn as well. And, we both work in the marketing sphere, but we do very different things. And I just am thrilled to have you here as part of my show today.
Awesome. Well, thank you. It's been fun. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, on behalf of both of us and to our audience live streaming, as well as watching recordings, I want to thank you for joining us on this journey to unleash your joyful business potential. Remember, leadership is a voyage that you can take together. So keep shining and aligning with your purpose. And come on back next week and every week at 2 p.m. Pacific time, 4 p.m. Central time, exclusively on winwinwomen.tv for now for our next inspiring episode. So until next time, this is LeAnn, your Chief Joy Officer, signing off. Keep leading with heart, and I'll catch you on the next wave of success. Farewell, and keep spreading joy.